So here we are, Friday 31st of March. Happy birthday, Ava. Just left work, got in the van and about to get on the road. This is the start of a road trip. A road trip that I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks now, and finally decided to take a couple of weeks off over the Easter break and see whether or not I can achieve this particular road trip. It's the first time I've been on a road trip with Neo since roughly this time last year, the 8th of April last year. I left with Karen and we went on our mammoth trip to the Ukraine border, and here I am now doing another mammoth trip, not as long this time, and this time it's a bit more sort of I guess kind of like a bucket list type of thing. I won't say what it is just yet. What we'll do is we'll get on the road, but basically I'm now going to be driving from York down to Dover, so I'm going to get as close to Dover as possible, find a place to park up for the night, try and get a decent night's sleep, and then I'll be ready for picking up the ferry tomorrow morning, and then I'll get back to you tomorrow morning somewhat bleary-eyed with an idea of the trip and what it is I'm trying to do. So start Mr. Anderson up, set the old coordinates, and we'll get on the road and see where it takes us. Time to stop for a bit. Very unlike me, I normally put in really big stints, but I was struggling, really struggling. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was woken up at 4 o'clock this morning, so I'm pulling into a services and get a bit of a breather, have some tea, get some Red Bulls, and I'll carry on. Oh wow, so little quick sandwich and a little rant. I mean, this is services. I've never been to the services before. It's just the other side of Grantham, and it's got a Burger King and a Greggs W.H. Smith's, and I really fancied some hot food. There was a big queue for Burger King, so I go to Greggs and it had nothing hot there and pretty much run out of all its sandwiches. And I don't know about you, but I don't know, there's something about the UK and its services and its way that it treats not treats, but the way it kind of deals with hospitality in general, you know what I mean? I mean, if you're running a 24-hour services, you would have thought, and your Greggs and your competition is Burger King, that you'd have some fucking hot food on the go and a load of sandwiches, wouldn't you? I mean, it's only 7 o'clock in the evening on a Friday, and it's just like, for fuck's sake. So in the end, I just dived into W.H. Smith's and grabbed a of sandwiches and some crisps and some sweets and some cans of Red Bull, and I'll just get something on the go. And then I think as I get closer to M25 or what have not, or maybe, you know, seeing how I feel, I'll then stop off at another services and try and get something hot to eat for my tea. But it's one thing I've noticed over, certainly since I've been driving, that this country's hospitality and the way it deals with services and being a service to public, when to some extent these are times of need, you know, desperation, when you need a piss or a shit or need something to eat or stretch your legs or what have not. Services in this country absolutely fucking suck. They really do. Anyway, rant over. I feel a little bit better now having that sandwich and put a Red Bull down me, and then we'll get a few miles on. So here we are, finally made it to a park up. What is it now? It's 5 to 11 and I left work car park at about 5 o'clock, I think it was. So it was quite a schlep. Yeah, that wasn't the most pleasant of journeys, I must admit. So from the point where I'd stopped to try and get some food and I just couldn't be bothered queuing and Greg's had run out, etc. That little sandwich and crisps and bits and bobs fortunately was enough to keep me going. And I thought to myself, well, do you know what, here we go, we're okay, we'll just keep on going. If I get to Bishop Stortford, there's a service station there, I'll be good. And I was like, oh, but it's on the other side. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you're ever driving down the A1, A14, M11, M25, etc., I think it's somewhere just before Stamford, so on the A1, that's the last service station that is on the southbound carriageway, in terms of like big services. So if you want a proper service station, like big services, every single one of them, like Peterborough, Cambridge, Bishop Stortford, you have to get off the carriageway, go round the houses, over the motorway, etc., round the roundabout, to go onto the other side of the carriageway. And I thought, that is so bizarre that they've set up all these services just on one side of the road and not on both sides. And I just couldn't be asked to go for all the rigmarole, so I thought, let's just go for it. M25 was an absolute breeze, straight over Dartford Crossing, which reminds me, I've got to do that right now and pay my charge, because I don't want to get fined again, because I got fined the last time I used the crossing and got fined 150 quid. So after this, that's the next thing I'm going to do. Yeah, so I just went for it, kept going, got onto the M2, thought there's got to be a service station. There was an M2 services stroke A2 services, I think it was Medway, on the left hand side, pulled off, but it was rammed full of trucks and just really tricky to park. So I just carried on, and I carried on down the A2, and then I found a small services and managed to, didn't get any hot food unfortunately, but just got another sandwich and some bits to have now before bed, and filled the tyres up with air, which I've been meaning to do for ages, and they were so fucking low. Honestly, my van has been rattling and shaking like no one's business. I feel every bump, you name it. and so I've pumped all 4 up almost to maximum. They're at 65 psi. I think they go up to 69 or something like that, and they were really low. They were like, some of them were way below 40. Yeah, we've got full pressure now, and pulled into a proper lay-by that's actually off the carriageway. It's quite noisy, and I think I'm only about 10-15 minutes away from the port here, so I'll set my alarm tomorrow morning and get down to the port in plenty of time. So yes, safe and sound. I'll see you tomorrow. Night night.